On Authentic Ag, we talk with Jim Delaford. He's the director of Region 7 of the Environmental Protection Agency. We'll also have features from some of the state's ag groups. I'm Ken Rogers. This is Authentic Ag. Brought to you in part by Kansas Farm Bureau, a grassroots organization representing the state's farmers and ranchers since 1919. KFB.org. Kansas Wheat Commission, leading in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online, kswheat.com. And Kansas Corn, building the future of Kansas corn. Online, kscorn.com. In ag news from agview.net, General Mills recently announced a commitment to advance regenerative agriculture practices on 1 million acres of farmland by 2030. The company will partner with organic as well as conventional farmers, suppliers, and farm advisors in some key growing regions to drive the adoption of regenerative agriculture practices. In a release, General Mills claimed that the global food system accounts for roughly 1/3 of greenhouse gas emissions and 70% of water consumption. So the company says regenerative agriculture is a holistic method of farming that deploys practices designed to protect as well as enhance natural resources and some farming communities. The practice focuses on pulling carbon from the air, then storing it back in the soil, in addition to helping the land be more resilient to those extreme weather events. The company says it will partner with key suppliers to drive the adoption across some key ingredients like oats, wheat, corn, dairy feed, as well as sugar beets. General Mills also granting $650,000 to a nonprofit group called Kiss the Ground. It's to support farmer training and coaching through the soil health academies. Well, Kansas State University students were treated to a beefed-up dinner menu on Kansas Day at the end of January. The Kansas Beef Council partnered with the Beef Cattle Institute as well as dining services at K-State to offer a larger portion burger to students that were eating in the 3 on-campus dining halls of Kramer, Derby, and Van Zyl. Now, on a normal day, students are offered a 2-ounce beef burger patty, but this partnership allowed kitchens to serve a 5.3-ounce burger. In addition, a whole lot of toppings were added to the night's offering, so that means students could build their perfect burger. The Beef Council also coordinated student volunteers from the K-State Collegiate Cattlemen's Club as well as K-State Meat Science Association, and they were on hand at each of the dining halls to talk peer-to-peer with fellow students, then answer questions on anything from beef production, sustainability, as well as nutrition. Now, students were also asked to guess the number of sunflower seeds in a jar. They got a chance then to win a beef prize package. By the way, results from the event, well, it showed Kramer Dining Hall served 450 burgers. That's 38% of the total student diners. Derby served 650 burgers, about 50% of the total student diners there. Van Zyl, 192 burgers, 92% of total students that ate that evening. That is a quick check of ag news. Stay with us. We'll have more in just a moment. Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device. News and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source. agview.net.
My name is Josh Rowe, and I serve as the Vice President for Market Development Public Policy at Kansas Corn. And happy to be here talking to everyone in the Capitol today. We've really seen, as far as agriculture is concerned, a relatively light session. I think some of that's due to the fact that with the change in administration, people are just kind of feeling things out. We also have some new leadership across, especially on the House side, some committees there. And quite frankly, the last session was a really heavy session for agriculture-related bills, so there just hasn't been that much issues that has put through the hopper. The main thing from a Kansas corn perspective that we've really been engaged in is assisting with Kansas Farm Bureau had introduced a Senate Bill 32, which would allow them to offer health care benefits. And, our members have the same concern that Farm Bureau members have. A lot of people, you don't qualify for a subsidized Obamacare type plan, or you don't have a spouse that works off the farm. Hearing many instances of families paying $20,000 a year in health insurance premiums, and Farm Bureau believes they can offer savings 30 to 50% of that. And so it's been through the Senate side, and we've had a hearing on the House Insurance Committee side, and hopefully they get that worked out of committee yet this week, and then in the coming weeks, next couple of weeks, to vote on that bill.
Well, joining us now is Jim Delaford, who is the Regional Administrator for EPA Region 7. Of course, it is based in Kansas City. Jim, always good to get an opportunity to talk and to get kind of directly to the people. So EPA has been in the news, maybe not for the best reasons, but talk about what's going on there as far as the tone coming out of Washington.
Sure. What we're really looking to emphasize is that we recognize the importance of agriculture. In this region, it's our largest industry. When you look at land use, when you look at the number of people that are employed, not only as farmers and ranchers, but in the processing of commodities. So we know how important it is to our states. We also know that the farmers and ranchers on the land could do the best job of protecting that land, giving us clean water, clean air, protecting land for the future. So we're trying to develop, a relationship of respect with our agricultural community, and also a relationship of clarity, so that they know what the requirements are. And we're working to take away some of the confusion that exists in some of the current rules of the agency, and bring them back to what we think congressional intent was.
Sure. Okay. A couple things I want to talk about specifically in Kansas, and probably the top one that has a big impact for a lot of our largely populated areas, and even to the north of us, is the Flint Hills burning. And there's been, I think, really a lot of confusion of what can and cannot happen, and maybe some of the levels that could bring.
Okay, three things. First, I would say about the importance of it is we know that landscape of the Flint Hills and the native prairie was established and maintained under a burning regimen, that natural wildfires are what maintained the actual prairie as we found during settlement. Secondly, we also know that continuing the burning of that landscape through prescribed burning by the farmers and ranchers themselves, again, helps to restore and actually continue the function of, again, that ecosystem, but it also gives them lush green vegetation for grass, and when we bring stockers onto the landscape in the summer. So there's two values from the actual producer standpoint: maintaining the actual ecosystem that's so important to them, and then getting good vegetation. But then the third part of it is that when we burn a lot in a condensed period of time, we generate enough smoke that it can be problematic for the health and safety of not only Kansans, people that are very close to where the actual burning occurs, but enough of the smoke can move into large populated areas, both in Kansas, Kansas City, Nebraska, and those types of locations. So what we're doing is working with the growers themselves to say, first of all, that your decisions on burning are still your decisions. There is no statute that says you must burn at this time or you can't burn at this time. So it's still in the hands of the producers. That's what we want it to be. But anything that the producers can do to extend the burning season, either in the spring and into the fall, again, spreads out the burning over time, which then we get less real elevated levels of particulates and pollutants from the actual burning itself.
We're talking with Jim Delaford, who is the Region 7, the Director for EPA Region 7, and we'll take a break and be back with more in just a little bit.
What if U.S. soybean oil were an industry sensation? If end users started asking for it by name? That future is here, the time is now. To meet customer demands, the Soybean Checkoff is investing in varieties that produce oil with increased functionality. A message from the Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Premier Farm and Home has what you need to make your lawn the best in the neighborhood.
Hi, I'm Ken. We choose Premier Farm and Home for the professional look that we do ourselves.
Feel free to stop in. You can also visit our website at heycow.com.
Many seed companies claim to offer the latest genetics, but how many have tested those genetics in soils just like yours? The Oldie Seed Know to Grow research program has fully tested the latest seed genetics in soils that are right in your neighborhood. The Oldie Seed Know to Grow program can recommend the best performing hybrids from technologies like Enlist, Extend, and Liberty Link that will optimize the yield and profit of every acre on your farm. Contact Oldie Seed today.
Let's continue our conversation now with Jim Delaford, who is Regional Administrator for EPA Region 7, and of course the other two big issues that we've been dealing with and working up to, waters of the U.S. and water in general. There's been probably a contentious relationship, I would think, with water, EPA, and then some of the stakeholders.
Well, one of our priorities in this administration is to provide clarity as to what the real outreach of the jurisdictional waters of the U.S. ought to be. And EPA is in the process right now of developing a rule which will explain that, make it very certain it won't reach as far. Clearly, it doesn't reach beyond, I think, what Congress intended to be the navigable waters and those immediately adjacent to them. In other words, to make sure that those processes are protected, but at the same time that we don't step too far into the private rights of growers and ranchers across the country. So look for a rule proposal. We'll take public comment on that. One of the things that we've committed to is a transparent process where all interests are heard, but we hope that we'll be able to give farmers and ranchers a clearer definition of what waters of the U.S. are so that they understand if they're planting something on their property, on their land, that they'll know whether it's subject to those rules or not.
The announcement's been made. It's a work in progress to bring E15 year-round.
Yes.
There's a little trepidation by some say, will it get done in time to really to meet the peaks and so on. Kind of give us an update on that process of what's going on at EPA.
Sure. The President instructed EPA to develop a rule to authorize the use of E15, as you say, year-round. And so the agency will go through that same rulemaking process because we have to build the justification for it, why it's safe, why it's healthy, why it doesn't affect air quality, those types of things, so that we can defend a rule and make sure that we don't propose something that gets challenged and rolled back. And hopefully then by early summer, we'll have a rule, again, authorizing year-round use of E15.
We talked a little about water. Let's step back a little bit, and in our remaining little minute here or so, the CAFO's, Confined Animal Feeding Operations, a few years ago, that was a big Issue. It's still something of concern, but most producers, most operators are doing their best to fall within those guidelines.
Sure. In our livestock industries, both the CAFOs for whether we're talking cattle, swine, poultry, all of them, they pretty well do understand what their responsibilities are. And we find that way of producing livestock or producing protein across the landscape is one that can be very environmentally friendly. It can work out. We have very few releases, very few problems. And one of the things that we're just doing now, just within the last week, again, we proposed a rule that will eliminate the requirement under EPA, which is the Emergency Planning Citizen Right to Know Act, that farmers and livestock producers will no longer have to report emissions from their CAFO facilities. This is a real positive thing, both for the producer, because it's a burden, an unnecessary burden on them, but secondly for the emergency responders, because they don't need that information anyway. They're worried about accidents and emergencies. They're not worried about the routine, day-to-day emissions that come from livestock facilities.
Right.
So again, we think this is takes some of the burden, unnecessary burden from agriculture, and makes it more certain that farmers understand and ranchers understand what the requirements are.
Super. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it.
Very good.
Jim Delaford, who is the Regional Administrator for EPA Region 7, has joined us. We'll have more coming up.
Join us April 6th for the Gardner Angus Ranch 40th Anniversary Spring Production Sale at the ranch near Ashland, Kansas. The sale will feature 342 registered bulls, 386 registered females, and 532 bred Gardner Angus influenced commercial females. The sale will start at 9 a.m. sharp. If you are unable to join us in person, you can bid online by going to liveauction.tv and register prior to the sale. At Gardner Angus Ranch, you aren't just buying a breed, you are buying a brand backed by 4 generations of disciplined seed stock production. We hope to see you April 6th at the ranch.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Kim Mannering with Hardy Insurance. Today we will talk about employee safety and work comp coverage. On your farm, do you ask your friends to come help? Are they considered employees or neighbors helping neighbors? Did you know that you can be held responsible just as if it's a work comp accident? Give me a call, we can discuss. 316-945-6733.
Mexico has become the largest buyer of U.S. wheat in the world. Mexico buys about 100 million bushels of wheat from the United States each year, including 60 million bushels of hard red winter wheat, the primary class of wheat grown in Kansas. A rising number of industrial bakeries, along with traditional artisan bakeries, account for about 70% of wheat consumption, according to the association representing Mexican millers. That puts Kansas farmers and other hard red winter wheat producers in a good position to meet that demand. Being close to hard red winter wheat production and having a highly functioning ability to import a large share of hard red winter wheat directly via rail from the Plains states is an advantage for Mexico's buyers. Yet our customers there have many other sources of milling wheat to which they can turn. The United States-Mexico-Canada Agreement, or USMCA, has been signed by leaders of the United States, Canada, and Mexico. It now needs to be ratified by Congress. If it doesn't pass and the president pulls out of NAFTA, Mexico could begin to shift their imports to other origins. The USMCA includes important provisions for wheat farmers. Most notably, USMCA retains tariff-free access to imported U.S. wheat for our longtime flour milling customers in Mexico. Congress must vote to ratify USMCA. That is a crucial step toward rebuilding trust in U.S. wheat as a reliable supplier in this important neighboring market.
Agriculture information on your computer or mobile device, news and views on grains, livestock, policy, and opinions from newsmakers can be found by liking AgView on Facebook, and on Twitter, follow AgView News, a reliable and relevant source, agview.net.
Sure Crop Fertilizers was started by my father, Don Sherman, and my mother, Shirley Sherman. Family business that started in the 80s. We predominantly focus on plant nutrients and what we can do to give growers better responses with the fertilizer dollars that they do, and what we can do to make those things work better for the grower. We're based out of Seneca, Kansas. We work with growers in their soil analysis to figure out what they need, and then we can put those in a blend that gives them the best results, and so that we can deliver that direct to their farm so that they have those nutrients where they need them, when they need them, and so that they can apply them in a manner that's very efficient to them and works well on their planting systems and what they're doing. Sure Crop Fertilizers has been around for a long time. We always say we're big enough to take care of everything you need, but we're small enough to do it quickly. You can get a hold of us at 1-800-635-4743. Our website is surecropfertilizers.com, and you can always email me at Corey@surecropfertilizers.com, and with any questions you have, we're glad to answer and work with you.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, cleaner American fuel. Message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
The Kansas Livestock Foundation is now accepting applications for the 2019 through 2020 school year. Applicants must be graduates of a Kansas high school and, except for vet students, undergraduate students at a Kansas community or senior college. The Merck Cartridges for Cash program offers $1,500 scholarships to Kansas State University veterinary medicine students and $1,000 awards to undergraduates studying animal science. Pawnee County KLA members turned in the most cartridges at the 2018 convention, guaranteeing them a winner provided a qualified student applies. Hempel Oil and Mobile Delvac will offer $1,000 scholarships to juniors and seniors at K-State and Fort Hays State University. Go Bob Pipe and Steel will sponsor a $1,000 award for a student attending a Kansas junior or senior college. Proceeds from the 2018 Kansas Cattle Women Silent Auction and Kansas Livestock Foundation Club Calf Sale will fund $1,000 KCW and Youth in Ag scholarships. Scholarships in the amount of $1,500 will be offered in memory of Douglas Lau. A $500 scholarship will be given in memory of Fred H. Woodbury from Quennemo. Students residing in Chase, Franklin, Lyon, Osage, and Wabaunsee counties will be given preference. Glenn and Clyde Lindstrom scholarships in the amount of $1,000 also are being offered, with preference given to students in USD 400. One application applies to all scholarships and can be found on the KLA website. Applications are due April 20th.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
The Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan is rediscovering ways to get improved varieties and new genetics in the hands of farmers faster. Grower-led and checkoff-funded research initiatives are bringing about positive change. This grassroots leadership provides a strong voice in Topeka and Washington, D.C. Now is the time to partner with Kansas Wheat in moving wheat forward. Kansas Wheat Commission and Kansas Association of Wheat Growers. Farmers investing in their future and yours. Log on to rediscoverwheat.org.
All over the country, more and more communities are making the change to biodiesel, made from U.S. soybean oil. And the decision continues, improving the health and welfare for millions of Americans while adding billions to our national economy.
Good morning. I'm Derek Hermish with Paragon Ag. What is more important, being in the right place or being there at the right time? The hog market has been living and breathing the African swine fever debacle in China for the last 6 months. As it has spread, the initial reaction and analysis that came with it was perceived as bullish towards the hog market because there would be a cutback in supply. Indeed, the market rallied some from the middle of August into September, and it would seem the influence of African swine fever was a big part of that. The less reported story was that it would also come with a decrease in demand, which occurred in the fourth quarter of 2018 as the Chinese consumer lost some appetite for pork. This decreased demand brought a price tumble with it, dropping April hog futures to new contract lows. In the last 2 weeks, though, hogs have been on the move higher, with the idea that the culling of the pig herd in China is still going to have a major effect, expecting to be friendly towards prices going forward, with the full effects of diminished supplies not to be felt until late summer or fall. This is readily reported opinion analysis from those covering the situation. What is less readily reported is that if African swine fever were to spread to North America, and specifically the United States, we would likely see a large decrease in demand domestically as the story gets digested by the U.S. consumer. It would seem timing is everything. I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
Well, thank you for joining us for Authentic Ag. If you have questions or comments or even some guest suggestions, email me, Ken Rogers @gmail.com. We'll see you next time on Authentic Ag.
My name's Karen Cope and I have multiple sclerosis. When you have MS, on the outside you look great, but you know what's really going on in the inside is chronic body pain, chronic fatigue. And there's lots of days that I'd wake up and say, oh, please God, help me get through this day. You know, after stem cells, Chloe, my youngest daughter, she was asked by my father-in-law, how's your mom doing? And Chloe said, Grandpa, I've never had a mom like this before, because she was 8 when I was diagnosed, and she really had no other memory of me but being sick. It's really the simple things that we do as a family, like play cards, and to be able to win at cards. They all laugh because I used to repeat myself and say, what hand are we on? Where are we at? And it's just been really a true blessing from God, and we're really thankful.